There is something wild going on right now with the Montreal Canadiens. After another brutal loss, there are a ton of question marks coming from the fan base. One about the current roster construction, some players doing great, not doing great, trades to come. Even some insiders have been speaking about how Montreal could very well be making a lot of moves during the Four Nations break. There's no roster freeze. There are a lot of questions, and we have some answers, hopefully, all coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. You want to stick around. There's some weird stuff going on, so let's just get right into it, Jesse. There's no point in delaying here. Here is the game scorecard for the game. Feel free to pause, take a look. We'll be referring to this. There's some bad defense, some good offense from Hudson and Mailloux, but look, Jesse, I think the first thing I think the first thing we got to talk about is another bad performance on home ice is starting to get boring. What happened to this? I don't know. What happened today to make Montreal do this? Like, this game was a bit surprising to me. I was expecting a bounce back. What were your thoughts on this overall performance versus the Devils?
Well, like we were getting our opportunities. We're out shooting them 34-22. And again, like, it's been a couple games where it's like we're getting the volume of shots, but it's like we even had more opportunities than that. Like, remember early on this first period, kind of like 5 minutes in, it's 4-1, the shots for Devils, but like the Habs are getting in the zone. They're having their opportunities, maybe just kind of looking for that perfect play. And I get like, looking kind of for that perfect play, but again, the volume, just to say like out shooting them 34-22, but like we could have had more. And I think, definitely we want like a couple calls going our way here. But I mean, Anderson doing what he needs to do, bringing life to that second line. So that's big. You have to feel like if that first line can kind of pick it up a little bit, Anderson helps to, reinvigorate Dach. Like, those are some good positive signs. Loved obviously, Owen Beck, have a nice performance, some good things from Mailloux there. Like Laine, Hudson looking good in that first, but just for whatever reason, like Allen was good tonight, just had our number, like, I don't like Josh, like for you, like, what do you think changed from like when we're having that streak of like playing really good hockey to kind of right now where we're kind of in the bunker a little bit?
I mean, there's a lot of things I could get into that probably wouldn't even fit in our 10-minute videos, right? We could have a long discussion about this. And actually, right now, that's good for you guys. What changed? What changed from this incredible winning streak to what we're seeing right now? Leave your comments down below. Talk amongst each other. We'll probably try and have a look at some of them as well. We like to read a lot of the comments. I don't know. There's a lot of things that change. The one thing that jumps out at me right away when I'm watching this team is the defensive intensity. And I don't really have any video examples to back that up, but again, the amount of slot chances that the Habs are giving up was a huge problem early in this season. It wasn't as much of a problem during the winning streak, because as you're winning, you're locked in more, you're focusing, you're noticing things, the game's coming to you. But then you lose 7-3 to the Leafs, Emil Heineman gets hit by a car. Those are the two catalysts. All of a sudden, now, again, you seem not locked in. The team is just not playing together in the defensive end. That first Jesper Bratt goal, Jesse, I was like, this is just reminiscent of everything we've seen before. I mean, there are other factors as well, trying to force passes that are not there. The energy is not there from everyone. But like you said, that second line is really what's wrong. We got to give credit to Anderson again. I still have this picture because he played like a Ferrari tonight. I mean, this power horse has stepped it up. That second line, Jesse, it's crazy to say, he looked way better than Laine did in most games 5v5 on that second line. Laine's maybe another conversation that we can have, because he looked like, I know you said to me before the video, we both said to each other, he almost looked invisible tonight. Second worst game score on the team. This second line looks great. You see Anderson, Newhook, and Dach, three of the top four guys on the team in terms of game score besides Carrier. I don't know. The intensity for me from a lot of players is not there, but the one line that has consistently brought the intensity as of late, I mean, I know Jake Evans and Armia are always doing it as well, but that Anderson, Newhook, Dach line right now, and especially Newhook and Dach, like, over the last few games, they have looked the best, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, all that Kirby Dach is, he needs like a little bit of sandpaper, somebody to kind of drag him into the fight a little bit, and then he gets going. So that's definitely some very good signs for this team kind of building forward, right? I think it's like, it's getting pucks in deep, but like we're not getting enough of that sustained offensive zone time there. We need Kirby kind of cruising around that offensive zone, because now we're starting to kind of have to defend a little bit too much. Like, very astute. Like, I think for sure, like what jumps off of me is like not getting the goals.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that's because we're not getting enough offensive zone time. So we're missing out on goals, and then we're having to defend too much as well. Like, when you're just getting one, even though we're out shooting them, like, you don't give yourself much of a chance. But as you saw, like, we're right in front of the net, all these close kind of things, Slav as well. Like, we don't want to throw shade, but it's like definitely more of like a mental block, I think, for more than anything else for this team. Great to see Kirby kind of taking some steps up at the same time here, but like, it has to be really tough for Martin St. Louis, like somebody who really cares about this team a lot. But that's why I think it's a great question to ask, is like, they did some really great things to have the success. Like, they did it over basically a month. That's not a fluke in the NHL. It's just about really having a team meeting, I think, is really called for at this point in time, and really going over what made it successful. We saw some points in this game. What I really liked is Beck, other players being smart, getting across halfway, getting the puck in deep. And then we saw a couple times where, yeah, for sure, they'd have a controlled zone exit against. The Devils, they've won 10 straight. No excuses, all the same. But we saw some other times where we're able to create those turnovers. Like, during that big success that we were having, we were able to get pucks in deep. Heineman was obviously a big part of that, but like, he's not the only player that can come in with speed, lay the body. That's the same reason why Anderson is having success. So I think what at least is encouraging in all of this, it's simple answers. Volume, there was some great things where we're getting, more shots on net. For sure, like, penalties weren't egregious tonight. Maybe we'd like to take a couple less. So some positive things, but I think just getting less cute and even taking more advantage of it, because we could add more shots. I think we just need to be a little bit less selfish and just play a simple game until we kind of get back on track.
I think a simple game is exactly kind of what they need, but like, a lot of their guys are looking to make the fancy play. Like you said, keep it simple. And it's not all the time, right? Like, there was actually a good point during the game where one of the announcers said, I don't think Montreal has been defending that much worse, although I would say it's worse over this last stretch. They've just been defending more, right? Like, they've put themselves on the back foot a lot. But again, like you said, we still outshoot them, right? Like, we can still get those shots on net, but not all of them are high danger. Now, Jake Allen was great, and we did have some great high danger chances, but it just didn't go our way. But I wanted to highlight this tweet from Grant McCagg as well, because I think it actually, look, I'm not 100% agreeance with everything he says here, but I think it reflects the fan bases and at least my overall emotions. That at this point, the best thing is for the Habs would be to lose tomorrow and not leave any lingering doubts in Kent Hughes' mind. With his 2-week break coming so close to the deadline and there not being a trade freeze during it, I suspect there will be a bunch of trades over the next 2 weeks, not just for the Habs, but for the whole league. Time for Hughes to start shopping some players in earnest. May you and Beck both look ready for full-time looks, not just as injury replacements. Now, the first thing I disagree with is a loss, I don't think, is the best thing for the Habs ever. Like, I unless, like, it's the last game of the season and a loss can guarantee you higher odds of the first overall pick. In that case, maybe. Like, that might be the only case ever where I might agree. I don't think one loss is going to change Kent Hughes' mind over what he sees right now. There's no doubt the team has not been rolling right now. And again, I don't want to go full tank mode. I want to try and win. But Jesse, would you say you agree in the sense that, like, at this point, all you can do is react to the on-ice product ahead of you? The Habs are not as close to the playoff mix, though again, it's still not insurmountable. We got to clarify that. It's not a crazy gap, but it's looking less and less likely with the way the standings are, with the way the Habs are playing, that they'll make the playoffs. Starting to shop players in earnest that we were maybe thinking of keeping for that kind of playoff push, like a guy like David Savard. Evans Armia, again, not so sure about Evans. I still think he'll end up re-signing, to be completely honest, but a guy like Savard, like, one guy that we were thinking maybe he'll stay full time. If Mayu looks good and we still have a guy like Struble, like, I'm not totally opposed now to maybe saying it's more likely that we'll see a move than not. I think it's more likely at this point, more than ever, that we'll see a move during this Four Nations break than not.
Yeah, to paraphrase from Tropic Thunder, you never want to go full tank mode. It's hard to really kind of come back from that, really. And, with Kent Hughes, I feel like it's always been about the long-term vision. I would argue, like, even if we're in close to a playoff spot, very likely that Savard is getting traded to have that one run for the playoffs, or what, like, the high value that you can surely get back from him. Like, Savard, that was already being done. And like with Evans, for sure, where we are in the standings, we've mentioned it's a part of it, but it's not the most important thing. When it comes down with Jake Evans the most, it's going to come down to the numbers. Yeah. That's really the shifting game and all of this with the cap going up that really kind of complicates it a little bit more. So again, it's always been about the long-term vision for Kent with, kind of with the trade deadline. That being said, like, that's not because it's the long-term vision. That's also including maybe going out to get some players that could really kind of help us. So that's actually what's encouraging to see, is even with this streak, is like, we're maybe not having that depth of scoring right now, where then we have a couple injuries and then, okay, our lack of depth really shows some losses as a result. So this could just be more kind of an encouragement and really an impetus for Kent Hughes to add to this team. He kind of already knew that needed to be done. But again, this was always the long-term plan, was he knew, okay, at the right times to kind of start building to what we have and kind of building those added pieces bit by bit, refining it really. So for me, this is still, all part of the plan, par for the course for Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens.
Agree. And I think if there was ever any thought of Kent Hughes going after a rental, maybe that's less likely now, but we all know that the number one thing he was looking for was a hockey trade to make this team better long term. I don't think he was ever interested in a rental, especially with the price of the rentals market, and the Habs have a bunch of guys that are going to end up being rentals for other teams. So, the real rentals would be keeping your guys, in essence, right? So right now, I still think Kent's going to make a move that's better for the long-term health of this team, and if that move helps us win this year, hey, I think that's part of the goal as well. We don't want the Habs to lose games this year. We want the Habs to win, even if we don't make the playoffs and it sacrifices draft position. I don't care. I think setting at this point, we're having the number 3 overall prospect pool in the NHL. You could even argue it's higher. That's just what the Athletic says. Getting some more players and getting some wins this season at this point in the rebuild is more important than anything else. But let us know your thoughts down below. Something weird's going on with Montreal right now. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all the latest wins, losses, trades, all that good stuff, because that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We'll be right back tomorrow with another video on the post game, because we can only hope for a bounce back before that 4 Nations break. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.